All right, so get ready because today we're diving into a story that's, well, it's really going to grab you. It's about, family and the power of reading and just like going for your dreams no matter how old you are. We're looking at how I taught my grandmother to read.
Sounds fascinating.
Oh, it is. And it all takes place in rural India where even getting something like a magazine was a really big deal.
Right. Yeah. Back then, access to information was so different. That weekly magazine delivery, that was like their connection to the whole world outside.
It was huge. And for the woman at the heart of this story, Krishtaka, it was even more than that because she was captivated by this serialized novel called Kashi Yatra that ran in the magazine.
Kashi Yatra. Okay, well, it's important to understand the cultural side of this.
Okay.
So Kashi, which is also known as Varanasi, is this incredibly holy city for Hindus. Like
Yeah.
making a pilgrimage there is deeply spiritual. It's often seen as the peak of a good life.
I see.
Yeah.
So this novel about an older woman who wants to make that pilgrimage, it makes sense why it would resonate so strongly.
Oh, totally. Because it touches on those universal longings, like finding your purpose, feeling fulfilled, things we can all relate to.
Definitely. And what makes Krishtaka's connection to the story even more interesting is that she couldn't actually read it herself. She never had the chance to go to school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So think about that for a second. Here she is, super invested in this story, talking about it with her friends, but she totally relies on her granddaughter to like actually experience the words on the page.
Huh. That really highlights the power of just storytelling and shared experience.
Mm.
Even without being able to decipher the actual text, Christaka is totally engaged. She's connecting with the characters, the themes. It reminds us that there are all kinds of ways to be literate.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But that reliance on her granddaughter, it actually ends up causing Kristaka a lot of pain when they have to be apart for a week. The granddaughter has to travel for a wedding, and, well, transportation was limited back then, so she gets stuck.
I see.
And when the new magazine arrives, it's this harsh reminder of Kristaka's limitations. The story she loves, the characters she's so invested in, they're all locked away behind those printed words.
Oh, that's got to be tough.
Yeah. The granddaughter describes finding Kristaka in tears, which is so unlike her. She's normally so strong and resilient. It really shows just how heavy the emotional weight of illiteracy can be.
It really does. It goes beyond just getting information. It's about feeling like you have control, like you're a part of the world around you, having self-worth, things a lot of us probably take for granted.
You're right. And this becomes a turning point for Krishtaka. She makes this huge declaration. She's going to learn the Kannada alphabet.
Wow.
And get this, she sets this incredibly ambitious goal for herself. Saraswati Puja Day during Dasara.
Wait, so hold on. It's fascinating that she picks that specific day
Mm.
because Saraswati Puja, it's a Hindu festival that celebrates knowledge and art and learning. By connecting her goal to this sacred day, she's giving her journey even more meaning, almost a spiritual dimension.
Exactly. And I love that she's 62, and that's not even a barrier in her mind. She's basically like, watch me do this.
That's incredible. It really challenges the idea that learning is only for young people.
It does. And it shows just how adaptable the human brain is, how we can learn and grow at any age.
That's so true.
You can just picture the granddaughter's reaction, right? Like a mix of, I can't believe you're doing this, and this is amazing. Maybe even a little worry, because, learning a new alphabet at that age, that's not easy.
Not at all. And that's where the story takes this really heartwarming turn. The granddaughter becomes the teacher and Krishtaka the student.
It's really something, to think about Krishtaka in her 60s taking on this challenge with so much passion.
Oh, absolutely. She really goes all in, practicing like crazy, reading, repeating, writing, reciting. She's not letting anything stop her. And there's even these hints about the granddaughter's future. As a computer science teacher, it makes you wonder if seeing her grandmother's dedication to learning planted a seed, influenced her path.
Yeah, maybe. But as Dasara gets closer, the anticipation builds, right? Like, will Krishtaka actually reach her goal?
Right. And on that day, this big celebration of knowledge and learning, Krishtaka, she takes her granddaughter to the puja place.
Oh, wow. So not just any random spot.
No. This is a sacred space in their home. And she asks her granddaughter to sit down.
That choice of setting, it's powerful. It's like she's taking this moment beyond a simple lesson. It's almost like she's recognizing the transformative power of education, but within this spiritual context.
That's a good point. And then she does something really remarkable. Krishtaka, now that she's learned to read, she bends down and touches her granddaughter's feet.
Whoa. There's a lot of meaning packed into that gesture, right?
Okay.
Because in Indian culture, touching someone's feet shows deep respect. It's usually reserved for elders or teachers. So to see Krishtaka, a woman of her generation, kind of flipping those traditional roles to acknowledge her granddaughter as her guru, her guide on this journey to literacy, it's humbling.
Yeah. It's this beautiful role reversal.
Hmm.
You know, it highlights how knowledge and respect can flow in both directions. They don't have to be limited by age or social hierarchies. And the granddaughter, you can tell she's moved. She returns the gesture, showing this deep connection they've built.
It's a powerful moment, for sure. It really emphasizes that this learning experience was something they shared. But don't forget, the granddaughter has a surprise plan. She gives Kristaka this really special gift.
And it's not just any gift, right? It's a full novel of Kashiyatre, so no more waiting week after week for the next part in the magazine.
Can you imagine how Krishtaka must have felt? I mean, the story that used to cause her frustration, that reminded her of what she couldn't do, now it's hers. To enjoy, to read on her own time.
And to really mark this victory, Krishtaka reads the title of the book out loud and the publisher's name, showing off her new literacy skills, her independence.
Yeah, it's such a simple thing, but it means so much. It's like she's saying, look, I'm not held back anymore. I can experience stories and knowledge on my own.
Exactly. It's a real symbol of how much she's changed. And it reminds us that literacy is not just about, reading and writing. It's about unlocking what you're capable of, opening up new possibilities. It's about having control over your own life.
It really is. Krishtaka's story is proof that you're never too old to learn and chase your dreams. She shows that age is just a number when you want to expand your horizons.
Right. She totally flips the script on how we usually think about aging, as this time of decline. But instead, she highlights how resilient the human spirit is, how amazing the brain is, that it can learn and grow throughout our whole lives.
It makes you think, right? How many of us have put aside things we're passionate about, goals we had, told ourselves, "Oh, I'm too old for that," or too busy, or it's just too late.
It's easy to do, but Kristaka, her story reminds us that we often put limits on ourselves that aren't even real. Her journey shows us how important lifelong learning is. That desire to learn and explore, it can thrive at any age.
And we can't forget that bond between Krishtaka and her granddaughter. It's such a heartwarming example of how learning can bring generations together, create connections and mutual respect.
For sure. It shows that education doesn't have to happen in a classroom. It can happen anywhere. There's curiosity and a willingness to share. We can all be teachers and students no matter our age.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into this amazing story, I want to leave you with something to think about. What dreams or goals have you maybe put on the back burner? What would it take to rekindle that fire and go after them?
Yeah, maybe it's time to pick up that old hobby, or finally take that class you've been thinking about, or tackle that project you've been putting off. Remember Krishtaka, her story is a reminder that it's never too late to learn, to grow, to create a life full of purpose.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. We hope you found it as moving and inspiring as we did.